Hey kids! Okay, so we are getting into the story ending of Joseph. And I don't know if you watched last week. If you haven't, go down a little bit further on the page. We have last week's part of the story. But this week we're talking about Joseph. So who remembers this guy? The coat of many colors. He had so many dreams and got sold into slavery by his brothers. They pretended he got killed by a wild animal. And then he went to jail. He interpreted Pharaoh's dream, and all this crazy stuff happened in his life. And God has been preserving him and keeping him for a certain point in time. And this time gets revealed right here, right now. So I hope you're ready. Grab your Bibles if you'd like to follow along. We're starting in Genesis chapter 43, okay? And so, of course, I'm not reading it word for word. You're just going to have to skim through it, but I know you can do it. Okay, we are starting with, they had recently gone to get grain because what happened was there's a drought. And a drought's when there's no rain for a very long time, and it dries up. And it becomes a famine. And now they don't have food. You know, the animals die, and the grain and the stuff the animals eat, they can't eat, they die. So then the people are hungry, they can't eat. So what happens? They die unless they have food. So through the dream that Pharaoh had, that Joseph interpreted, Pharaoh was warned by God to store up grain. And all these patterns God was using for Joseph's sake. Not just for Pharaoh's sake, but for Joseph's sake, to raise him up to the position so that he could save the bloodline that Jesus Christ is coming through. It's so amazing how God can handle all these lives and mesh things together. But they got grain the first time. Well, the brothers got grain the first time. And they were going back, you know, they're traveling by camel or donkey, and they have their grain sacks. Well, they need a place to stay the first night, you know, so they stop off at a town. They open up their grain sacks, and what do they find? They found the money that they had paid for the grain inside their grain sacks. All right, now they're freaked out. They think the Pharaoh is going to send guards after us. He's going to think that we stole money from them. What do we do? So they go home. And they had revealed some stuff. And there's a lot of brothers. There's a lot of brothers. So they're all discussing what they should do. Because they see the issue. So they make it home, and they talk to their father. Now, their father, he's elderly. He's 130 years old. Now, think from the father's position. He thought that Joseph was dead, that he got killed by wild animals. So, I mean, he lost his son, and he's very saddened about that. So he is protective, especially over his youngest son, Benjamin. Now, they didn't know that they were speaking to Joseph the first time, and they revealed that they had a younger brother at home. So, finding this out, Joseph, in secrecy, they didn't know it was Joseph, said to them, I need your younger brother here next time you come. Bring him here, or else you're not getting anything. And so, they at home tell their dad. Their dad is very, very disappointed in them. Why did you reveal that you had a younger brother? He said, you're making my heart ache. He said, I cannot lose another one. And so they're freaked out because, you know, they had the cash in their grain. And so they begin to make promises to their father. They say, Father, we promise you that we will bring him back. We will bring our youngest brother back. And one of the brothers steps up and says, Father, the oldest says, Father, you can kill my sons. That's pretty crazy to say. He said, you can kill my sons if I do not bring Benjamin back with us. And that was, he wasn't just trying to get his sons killed. That was him showing how devoted he was to bringing Benjamin back. And another brother said that he would watch out for him too. So they were trying to instill confidence in their father because their father was very disappointed. And so they go back. They're traveling back. Why? Because grain had ran out. You can only carry so much. And so they make their way back to Egypt. Now, this is Joseph because he's Egyptian now, okay? And so he doesn't look like the typical Joseph that we know, the coat of many colors Joseph. He is now looking Egyptian. So they come back for grain, and they were traveling very, very far, very, very far. And they come and bow down. Now, they don't talk directly to Joseph. Joseph has a servant. And the servant does the bidding for Joseph, then goes and talks to Joseph. So they come bowing down, asking for more grain. And Joseph, knowing it's his brothers, he wants to find out if they brought Benjamin. They brought Benjamin. So, of course, Joseph is happy to see his younger brother. So he invites them all, and they're scared. They're very scared because they think they're going to go to prison. So he tells them to go to this area in the quarters. And so they are told by the servant, and the servant ushers them into this place. And they're thinking, oh, we're going to get imprisoned. Oh my goodness, what is going to happen? But guess what? There's a feast there. There's a big table. And they all are feasting and eating together. And so they're eating good food. And Joseph, staying in code, he's secretive. He gives the youngest brother, Benjamin, the most portions out of all the brothers to eat. So Benjamin's eating good. And during the time of them eating, of course, they were buying grain sacks. And he, while they're eating, they're all distracted, imagining they're at a table right now eating. He talks to his servant, says, I need you to go and put their cash back inside of their grain sacks. But I want you to take my silver cup. And now guys, it's not just like a fake silver cup, but this is a real silver cup that's beautiful, and it was his cup, and it is valuable. And he said, take my silver cup and put it in the youngest Benjamin's sack. And they did this in secrecy. So they didn't know. While they're eating and feasting, they put all the stuff in there, okay? Right? So the silver cup's in his sack. And as they go, they're thankful, they bowed down in thanks. And they hurry on their way, because they got to take this grain home to Dad and show them, hey, Benjamin's with us. We don't want you to worry. We were able to get through. Everything worked out perfect. Well, they start traveling out, and Joseph says, okay, send out the guards after them. Get them here now. And so they get taken by the guards. Now they're like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And then he has the guards open up their sacks, and they get accused, and he sees the silver cup in their sacks. So they're being accused right now. How could you do this to me? How could you cheat me? How could you steal these things? Well, I had you at the table eating and feasting with me. You even had the audacity to steal my silver cup, which they believed that he told the future with. This is the cup that I used to tell the future with. And they are freaking out. and they know the cup is in Benjamin's. Now they're like, so they explain as much as they possibly can. Our father will surely die if we do not bring Benjamin back. Please take me in as slavery. The eldest says, take me. He said, I see what happened here. Take me in as a slave. Take me in. And so while they're saying this, and they're showing their hearts because they don't want their father's heart to be broken again. And they're giving themselves for Benjamin's sake. And Joseph, realizing they have a change of heart, Joseph stops it all and breaks down weeping. And he starts crying. And he reveals who he truly is. He reveals that he is Joseph. And they are shocked and in awe. They are like, no way. And he starts sharing things and how it wasn't because of them that he was in this position, but because of God, he declares. God put me here, he says, for a reason, for this time, because God knew that we would need this. And to protect the bloodline, to protect our family, God put me here so that we could prosper, so that we could have these things. And they are in shock. And they can't even say a word. And they're so amazed. And then he's like, brothers, there's a land that you guys can come and move into. And it's called Goshen. And you can bring all your cattle, everything you own. Bring the whole family and all your things. And I want you to settle here. And we will keep you fed. You will get the best of the best. And Pharaoh had spoken to Joseph and said, you can have anything you want, any land, any place. So Joseph had all freedom to give them this. So they are amazed and talking about it and discussing, and they head home. And they're riding in their caravan with all their cattle. And guess what? Joseph sent some special stuff with them just to prove to Dad that he is actually alive. So they get home and they had a ton of stuff. They had food loaded up on these donkeys. And you know, it's a famine where nobody has food. So Dad would be like scratching his head like, where's all this food coming from? Why do we have all these things coming to us? What is going on? And they say, Joseph is alive, Father. And the father's like, could it be? It's like, it must be, because there's no way you could have these things. It must be true. And he says, I have to go see him before I die. So he travels with them. And he makes it to Egypt, and he sees Joseph, and they embrace and hug and cry, and things are explained, and God is glorified for what he's done in Joseph, and they get to be placed in the land of Goshen. And it is amazing, guys, how God has specific purposes for your life. Just like Joseph, you know, he may have not seen this outcome in the long run. He was in jail for 13 years, guys. That's a long time. He was a slave for a very long time of his life, but God moved him up into this position now, for this time, for this moment. God has a plan for you, kids. For this time, for this moment, things ahead, God is wanting you to step up and follow him. And the only way to do that is to listen to his voice and obey him. And even when it just doesn't seem clear, when you're like, that doesn't make sense, but God, you said to do this, so I'm going to do it. That's what you need, a heart that always stands in that position. Because who knows, maybe a few years from now, maybe years and years from now, God's going to use you really awesomely. So guys, we love you. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time. We want to see you here. You are welcome to come. It is awesome. We've been having so much fun here. We love you guys and have a great rest of your night. Bye.